AITA for telling my wife that I would be perfectly capable of doing what she does.
I, 30M, have a wife, 30F, and a daughter, 7F. I work in finance and my wife is a stay-at-home mom as I earn sufficient for the both of us. My wife is a great mom and takes great care of our house. I was lucky to buy a home as I earn well in a medium cost of living city. I love my wife, but she finds it humorous to say that I am incapable of doing household tasks. We had agreed that she would do them when we decided she would stay at home, but I do stuff occasionally when we are both home if she asks me to, but then if I say load the dishwasher for her she will claim I did it wrong just because I do it different than she does. It still cleans well.
The other day we were eating and she told me about her day and how she went grocery shopping and optimized the cost by buying specific items at specific stores and accounting for the cost of traveling to each store, and she made an offhanded remark that I would never be able to do that and said it in a "what would you ever do without me?" kind of way. I replied back saying that of course I could do it. I handle complex decisions and calculations at my work as I work in finance, and that I have a master's degree and what I do involves more intellect than household operations. Even though I acknowledged and appreciate what she does, I would be capable if the roles were reversed. She got angry and seemed to think I was calling her stupid when I wasn't, and then cried, and now I feel like an
She said she was a very good student and had she graduated she would be in my position as well. My wife and I met in college, but she was an international student studying physics and computer science, and she had issues with her loan from her home country and could not afford to complete it, and we got married then so she could stay. Initially she wanted to complete it later after finding the funds, but she agreed to be a SOM when I got a good job, and I appreciate that a lot as we were able to have a kid early on even while I was both completing my master's and working full-time.
Info. Initially she wanted to complete it later after finding the funds, but she agreed to be a SOM when I got a good job, and I appreciate that a lot as we were able to have a kid early on even while I was both completing my master's and working full-time. How is that a benefit? If you waited to have kids she would have her degree.
After reading Op's comments, YTA Op. Your wife gave up everything in order to raise your child. This includes making your master's degree and your career possible. You literally would have neither of those things if she hadn't sacrificed everything she wanted for herself to make your life possible. She could have left you with a kid, returned to her home country, and let all of your dreams fall apart instead of her own. Several people have suggested that you take up her job since you believe you can do it, and allow her to return to her education. You have declined. This means you literally can't do her job. You lied. Why would you decline to do this? I'll tell you. Because it has a massive personal cost and sacrifice to give up what you want so someone else can have what they want. That's what she did for you. You aren't capable of that. Or you would. Forget the groceries. You literally are refusing to do her job because the cost is too high for you to pay. In your mind, it wasn't too high for her to pay, and for her to keep paying. So you actually cannot do her job. I suggest that you do something to allow her to be more fulfilled. At a minimum, cut back on your work hours so she can return to her education part-time. Take up a lot more at home so she can pursue another interest. Whatever. Either way, it's the bare minimum you owe her. She's obviously unfulfilled, and since she made your dreams happen, it's your turn to return the favor. Stop saying you can do her job when you can't and are flat out unwilling to. And start looking for ways to give her a sense of pride and accomplishment. She deserves a happy and fulfilled life too. Edit. For those who are confused, here are Op's relevant comments. On the question, does she want to finish her education? Quote, she has said that she wants to go back, and talked about the great things she could have done, but I never asked her because she always follows up with it might be too late. I did tell her that to an extent it is true that it is hard to start your career late. She would not be able to afford it without me, and she would have less time for our daughter if she did that. So I am not super keen on encouraging that, and she has not mentioned it to me directly. She does not even have a bachelor's, only an unfinished one. If she went back, I feel like she would want to do the same thing or just computer science. She is not into arts or business things. She still does programming as a hobby. Initially, the plan was actually for her to start working once she was legally allowed to do so after marriage, and then get another loan and go and complete her degree. But once I got a good job we could manage on one income, and I asked her about being a som and having a child, and she agreed on paying for his wife's education. Please note that his wife made his education possible. I was thinking of bringing up getting a second child. I don't think we could afford that if she were in school and I was paying for it. Especially in Ivy. She was an academic snob back then, so she would definitely want to go to an Ivy, and she knows our finances say it would be theoretically possible but put a dent in it. She would very likely want to finish her Ivy degree. She has 3 semesters left to graduate. I was thinking of talking to her about a second kid. She was previously at an Ivy and tuition is expensive, and even more so than when we went. So I don't think she could afford that by working herself. I could only afford it as my parents helped me. And your wife once again, on the fact that a second child would likely set back her goals. By then I really doubt she would have any interest in going back for a career and would be too old to get hired for junior roles.
Now she is not. I meant if we had a second kid and then she went back once the second kid were older. I'm willing to say AITA, but not in a typical way. Your wife is bored and doesn't feel appreciated. She was sharing all these things with you so you would say, wow, great job, you're brilliant. Apologize. Tiny human is 7 now? See if she wants to go back to school. Ask her what she's thinking and listen.
YTA. Oh dear. You need to go back to husband's school. She was telling you about her day and probably was pleased that she'd shopped the way she did. It might not be rocket science, but as well as sharing facts about her day, she wanted recognition of her value to you. I will say that again. As you are a slow learner, Mr. Master's degree, she wanted recognition of her value to you. A comparison of your job skills was inappropriate. Of course, if you blether on about your fancy pants finance capabilities, she will feel put down. Your attitude of, I do really clever financial stuff, so of course I can do your job, is disrespectful and hurtful. Household management is a skill. It is both practical and requires specialist knowledge. It requires someone who can get things done. You just see the bit of the iceberg that sticks out above the water and you have no idea of how much organizational skill is going into your household. I suggest you apologize profusely. Give her lots of hugs if she will have them. Flowers, chocolates and a wild night in for her. And never disrespect what she does ever again.
I told her what I do involves more intellect than household operations, and for some reason she thinks I called her stupid. AITA.
YTA. She was an international student studying physics and computer science, and she had issues with her loan from her home country and could not afford to complete it, and we got married then so she could stay. Initially she wanted to complete it later after finding the funds, but she agreed to be a som when I got a good job. Your wife is a very smart woman who probably prepared her whole life for a challenging technical career. And now, for better or worse, she is a som with no degree or paying job. It's clear that you are proud of your intellectual capabilities and the complex tasks you tackle at work. It is part of your identity and your ego. Your wife has none of that, even though that's what she wanted. What little source of pride she has. Her household tasks, her own spouse diminishes and minimizes. How would that make you feel if you were in her shoes? Would you consider supporting your wife to finish her degree? I'll be direct. Yes, you're an AH. The problem with men that have money is that we tend to commercialize and tie everything to money. You ignore the companionship, the sacrifices, and the love your wife and mother of your kids provide you even after getting bogged out with housework. You feel, for example, yes, I can cook or I can hire a chef. But forget there's a difference between someone who cooks because they love you and the one who does you pay them to. However, the reason you're an AH is because you fail to recognize how much work goes into the housework she does because you do it once in a while. Take a hint from the fact that when you do it, she complains. But when she does, you don't. Most likely, it means you're not doing it properly. Housework is hard work, and you should recognize that. But oftentimes, until men have to do it frequently, we don't understand how hard it can be. YTA. She wasn't looking to put you down. She's looking for validation and appreciation of her contributions to the household. As much as she loves your kids, she probably also finds it mind-numbing at times to not have the intellectual challenges of her prior studies in physics and computer science. Would it kill you show a little understanding of that? Maybe she needs a change. Maybe she's bored and trying to make herself feel more fulfilled. Does she want to complete her studies? Have you asked her? I'm leaning to YTA as you sound a bit patronizing. Info. Why did she decide to be SOM? Was there no possibility to continue the education later on? Money doesn't seem to be the problem here. I feel like she is not challenged enough as a SOM, so she gets bored. I think she longs for a more intellectually challenging job. Sorry, not native speaker. Don't know if there's a more accurate word. And that's why she got angry. Wow, after reading through your comments, not only are YTA but YTMEGAA. You basically called your wife stupid and disrespected the work she does and think a second kid will fix it? Damn, you very well be in the top 1% of dumbest people alive. I think this was her way of trying to get you to notice her hard work trying to keep the family budget down. Sometimes I felt like my husband didn't always understand how much work it was to run the whole household. Everyone's schedule, cleaning, cooking, shopping, meals, laundry, rides, appointments, and everything else. Maybe she just needs some validation and acknowledgement from you? What a missed opportunity. The correct response was, "You are amazing at what you do and we are so lucky to have you. I love you." Then reap the benefits. I was going to go ESH except when I got to the part where she never wanted to be a SOM and that it's what you wanted so that you could start having kids right away. You say you're appreciative, but are you? You say you contribute to chores, but loading a dishwasher incorrectly is barely even a chore. Your wife is frustrated because this is not the life she wanted for herself. And it's not a super easy one. She wanted some validation, which did take the form of putting you down. The ESH part. Your response was to tell her her job is easy. And of course you could do it because you have more intelligence than her and have a harder job than her. But you don't know that you could do this job just as good as her. Because you've never had to do it. So why not just say, "You have had years of practice and I'm grateful for the sacrifice you made for our family." Instead, your wife is bawling her eyes out because she had to give up her dream career for lack of money and marrying a guy who just wanted her to be a SOM and then puts her down. So yeah, YTA. She's not without fault here. But I feel for her, and she probably said that out of a decade of disappointment and just wanting to feel valued. YTA. I do stuff occasionally when we are both home if she asks me to. You shouldn't need to be asked to clean up your own home. Your wife has agreed to manage the household chores while you are at work. Your big boy job doesn't make you incapable of recognizing when chores around the house need to be done after you get off of work, and doing them without being asked. Your wife isn't your mommy. I replied back saying that of course I could do it. Could you do it while caring for your kids? Managing meals and snacks. Cleaning up after your kids and then cleaning up around the house. And running errands? I could guarantee that your wife does more work at home than you do at your job. Just because she isn't getting paid for it doesn't make the work any less grueling. She made an offhanded remark that I would never be able to do that and said it in a, "What would you ever do without me?" kind of way. What would you do without her? Without your wife? You would have no one to manage your home or watch after your children while you're being the big, important breadwinner. Could you handle complex decisions and calculations while juggling all the responsibilities your wife so generously handles for you? What I do involves more intellect than household operations. Damn, way to call your wife stupid. Low blow, up. YTA big time. YTA. You're condescending to your wife. What I do involves more intellect than household operations. Besides not really having a clue what it takes to run a household. Especially when there were children involved. However, you wouldn't be the first husband to think it is an easy-peasy job. And trust me, running a household is a major job. Lots of multitasking, project planning, time management, scheduling, purchasing, and that doesn't even mention the labor involved. You owe your wife a major apology. Maybe she should go on a month-long vacation and you can then maybe begin to understand what she does to make it look like nothing. Just sensed she feels her very important role is not being held in a high regard by you and just wants to feel worthy. She is totally restricted in her ability to obtain a rewarding career so that she can focus on your kid and helping you so you can focus on your job. What's the most important thing in the world to you? Your kid. So who has the most important job in the world? Your wife. You would be pretty useless in general without her and vice versa. You went against your own team member and for that you are a hole. YTA. I also have a degree in finance. I also was a SOM. It was still a learning curve for me because just knowing how to handle money and make complex decisions in a controlled environment is not even kind of the same thing. Sounds like she might have been passive-aggressive with her comment, but why do you think she feels compelled to address it like that? Based on the tone of your post, I'm guessing you are condescending. And you may say the words, "I appreciate what she does," but you don't take any actions to back that up. She sacrificed a rewarding career to take on a very, very unrewarding though extremely important role at home. You owe your ability to excel at your job to her because I'm guessing you never have to call out or leave work early for a sick child or doctor's appointments. Plus you can remain focused while working and not have to also be thinking about what you're going to make for dinner. If you took the meat out of the freezer, when is soccer practice? What will you be getting your child for her birthday, Christmas, etc.? Apologize to your wife and thank her for all of the visible and invisible work she does, preferably with specifics. Not an answer to whether YTA. But I wonder if an incredibly kind thing to do would be to open the possibility of helping her finish her degree. Your kid is 7. It seems like she is feeling a bit stifled. It could be really meaningful for her and make her feel more equal and seen in your marriage. If that's a non-starter because you want her totally focused on taking care of you in the house. YTA. YTA. It seems like all she wanted was a bit of praise and validation. You were able to get your master's and work full-time because she became a SOM. She effectively got left behind career, education-wise because of it.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.